The Associated Students Budget Committee sponsors and subsidizes student organization events through allocations of the student activity fee. First, please submit an event registration form, commonly referred to as an EVR, before submitting a request for funding. Your funding request will not be heard by ASBC without an approved EVR. Visit reservations.sandiego.edu and log in with your MySanDiego username and password. Choose either an on- or off-campus event, enter the date, time, and building. Select an open space, and then complete the event details. To request funding, visit Torero.orgs. Make sure your organization's membership is up to date as ASBC takes into account the roster of your organization. Click on the Finance tab on your organization's page and then create a funding request. ASBC operates on a 4-3 system when allocating funds for general body meetings. You may request funds for 4 meetings at once or individually, and once you use those funds, you may submit another request for up to 3 more meetings for the semester. It is important to know that these 3 meetings are not guaranteed. ASBC does this in order to assure equal distribution of the allocated GBM money. You do not need to present your GBM request to ASBC. The Budget Committee will hear funding requests in the order they were received, so please put in your request with plenty of time for review. Please note that it may take up to 3 weeks to receive an appointment time, so make sure you plan ahead. The person who submitted a request will be contacted to send a representative to present to the ASBC committee. The outcome of your request will be available on your Torero.orgs page, and the person who submitted the request will be emailed once a decision is made. If you have been allocated funds, you can visit SLP 307 to utilize a university credit card for event purchases. You will fill out an AS credit card request form located on the AS website. If you choose to buy your event supplies with your own money, you will need to turn in original and itemized receipts with an ASBC reimbursement form found on the AS website. These will need to be turned into SLP 307 within 14 days of activity. For total purchases over $100, you will also need to provide proof of payment like a bank statement or a copy of the credit card used and attendance sheets. These sheets will require the attendees' names, ID numbers, and signatures. If you're just filling out a reimbursement form, you will need to identify who paid for the items and where the check should be sent. Here's an example of a reimbursement form that is located on the AS website as well as in SLP 307. Here's also an example of an attendance sheet that is required. If there are performers at your event, you must have a performance contract approved and signed before your event. Indicate that you will have a performer on your EVR. You will need to submit the signed performance contract, the performer's W-9, and an invoice with your ASBC reimbursement or check request form. If you are showing a movie, you will need to secure the viewing rights unless it is owned by the USD Library. You can do this by going to the website to see if it is listed. Residential areas do not require movie rights, but all other venues in which a movie is shown do require it. Please plan ahead so you can avoid retroactive funding requests. Third-party reimbursement requests are strictly prohibited. All performers or vendors must be paid directly. Also, please be aware that we aren't able to accept any receipts that are more than 30 days old. Remember, submit an EVR first, then a funding request through Torero.orgs. Your request will then be reviewed and sent to ASBC. Once you have received approval of the allocated funding, you will be able to proceed to spend your funds. Here are some of the new ASBC processes. First, approval of funding is contingent upon whether the organization's current treasurer or finance chair is on the student organization listserv. In addition, the registration fees for conventions, conferences, or retreats can be covered by ASBC if the Budget Committee approves. However, travel and food will not be covered. To receive funding for a retreat, please provide retreat information costs with the ASBC application at least 2 weeks in advance. All receipts for money paid out should be returned to SLP 307 within 14 business days of the funded event. Noncompliance with this rule can result in the denial of reimbursement or removal of funding privileges. Organizations have 5 business days to receive petty cash from the Chief of Staff or AS Activities and Budget Coordinator. Students will then bring the form to the cashier's office. Failure to do so may result in the denial of reimbursement. To find the bylaws for more information about ASBC, please visit the Associated Students website and under the About Us tab, click Constitution and Bylaws. Please look at the Budget Committee bylaws and most importantly, Article 6. Again, if you have any questions, contact the Involvement Consultant in SLP 316 at extension 4802 or email usdinvolvement@gmail.com.